So what I'm going to do, utilizing the jovial gluten-free lasagna, try two ways. One makes the no-boil method, and another one as the traditional method. What's my kitchen sustainable? Now let's check out our, smells fine. Actually, I don't like the taste. It's really dry. Eggs and ricotta, are they necessary? What's the purpose? Can I whip my eggs for fluffy texture? Those are some good questions. For the main event, utilizing the jovial gluten-free lasagna. Let's see how that does. At the end of the day, we just want good food. That's part of a sustainable diet. Welcome back to Dennis' Sustainable Kitchen. I'm Dennis Jovial. This time I found their lasagna on sale. So one of the things that grabbed my attention says it's no boil lasagna. For many, when you make lasagna, parboil, you get the dry sheets, boil them in water a little bit, get them soft, cool them. This one says no boil, meaning you just put it directly in. And so what I'm going to do is I try two ways. One, the no boil method, and then I'm going to do another one as the traditional method, which is when you boil them. So big difference. One, essentially you're hydrating the sheet, you're adding water into it. The other one, you're hydrating while you're cooking it. So what does that mean? That means if you're going to be going straight from this, just putting your sauces all together, layering your lasagna, the only water is going to come out of whatever liquid is inside of your vessel here. So if your sauce is dry, this is not going to get so soft and hydrated. So if your sauce is a bit soupy, like sopa, then that hydrates the pasta sheet. Now, if you're looking for the easy set it and forget it type scenario, you go with the new boil method. You essentially mix your ingredients, put it in your fridge the night before and bake it. Some of the issues with that is if your sauce isn't level enough, like this doesn't get covered all the way, or it's not completely submerged, this thing can get crispy and sometimes they're not cooked evenly. The other one is sometimes it's a bit chewy. And I've never tried this particular lasagna's sheets in general. And so, yeah, curious, why not give that a shot today? And again, go through some of the motions as to what we're going to be utilizing and some of the sustainable practices that come along with it. So I do have some 200 grams of pre-steamed chicken breast that I'm going to add in there. So we're going to be utilizing this tomato, basil, something, but I'm going to be fortifying it with 2 yellow onions, which I believe was 400 grams, 3 carrots, and I'm using these purple ones because I want some of the extra nutrients and antioxidants that come into it. I'm not peeling them because there's more nutrients in the peel itself. So just a good wash, scrub down. I'm going to be utilizing some fresh thyme, fresh oregano, and all of these ingredients I'll post at the end, and I'll leave a link in the chapters if you want to see it. I'm also going to be utilizing 2 eggs, and this will be that binder. So this way your ricotta doesn't just like fall out. It puts it more together. I'm also going to be using 100 grams of just shredded Parmesan, which also serves as a binder. And then I found some fresh mozzarella on sale. So figured, hey, why not? Also, I have some leftover Oaxaca cheese, the Mexican string cheese. And I like it because it doesn't melt completely. You can sear this really well and it'll hold up. So I figured that'd give it a nice little structure. And then some chicken stock to thin out the sauce a little bit. Fortunately today, not usually the common thing, but I don't have any fresh garlic, which is usually like illegal in my kitchen. So we'll have to stick with garlic powder. That'll be about 10 grams. And then depending on how much the sauce looks, but I'll probably be utilizing some of these diced Pomodoro tomatoes. And we'll go from there. So a quick overview will be we'll dice up the onion, dice up the carrot, let those off, add in the garlic powder so it blooms in with the fat, the sauce, the onion carrot mixture. Then I'll throw in the sauce, let that simmer for a little bit, then I puree it because it's the only way some people can actually eat the nutrients without seeing them. So again, if you have picky eaters that don't like seeing onion, don't like seeing tomato, good way to mask those in there. And then we'll start piecing our lasagna together, and the chicken, rather than put it into the sauce and have it all fall apart, I'm gonna just throw it in. It's more of a protein filler rather than giving it actual flavor. All right, enough talk. Let's get started. So I might as well get this going. I'm going to cook this all in a toaster oven. Both of the little vessels fit in the toaster oven. A couple of reasons for that. One is saving energy, light bill. So on average, between that and the big stove oven, utilize anywhere from like 30 to 50% less energy, and break that a little bit more later on. Then the other part is it's just when it heats up a lot faster too. Last time I tested the oven going to 375 from just being overnight, both of them cold, to that, the toaster oven took 5 minutes and the stove oven 8 1/4. So 3 minutes faster. Now, can you make this ahead of time? Yes, both ways. If you are going to make this from the day before to the next day, just make sure you cool things accordingly. That's always important. So we'll get the onion going, get it slowly going. In the meantime, take care of our carrots. Now, I'm not peeling them. I know some people will cringe at that thing right now, but a lot of nutrients in the peels. So I want nutrients. That's part of a sustainable diet. And so we're fortifying the pre-made sauce with beta carotene, polyphenols, with the onion, help with anti-inflammation. Those are all little hacks or little, changes that over time make a big impact. Think of it, it's like you're always keeping your body on a maintenance plan. And given that I've already had to go through a double lumbar fusion, deal with a lot of osteoarthritis, changes like these have been a big help. Another thing with the carrots is it'll add a natural sweetness, so you're not dealing with having to add sugar. This thing doesn't have any added sugar, which is good. So that should help also balance some of the acidity that I'll probably get from those. Do the gluten-free sheets really work, or should I parboil them? Good question. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out. Personally, for me, I like parboiling. So when I cook, I'm trying to have as much control of the final outcome as possible. It's more about the flavor factor. Now we'll add our garlic powder. That way it can bloom in there a little bit. Now notice how the carrots are bleeding out. They're actually releasing some of those pigment, making them a little bit more purple. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your carrots are fine. It's actually the stuff that you want to eat. So go ahead and add the tomato. And so I added all of this first. I want to add in all of the nutrients as much as possible. Now they're added in. Let them simmer and let that flavor come together. At the same time, it's going to reduce. Then I'll add in this stuff. I might only need half, right? Which is better than having the whole thing, right? It has a ton of sodium, 17% salt. Okay, so while that's going, what's the other question people had? Eggs and ricotta, are they necessary? What's the purpose? Can I whip my eggs for fluffy texture? Those are some good questions. All right, let's start with the ricotta and the eggs. So, do you need eggs? No. Are they absolutely necessary? No. What are they for? Eggs help to bind your ricotta. So when it cools down, you can actually cut it. If you don't have the egg, when you cut it, your ricotta is probably going to ooze out a bit like cottage cheese, I guess. Now that's just the trade-off. You could add some extra grated Parmesan to try to bind it that way. It's not as strong, but it can. So right here I have the ricotta. I'm going to do half of the Parmesan already here. I'll save the other half for when it's done. Fluffy eggs. A great question. Props to whoever asked that one. So my assumption is that you're asking if you can whip the egg whites to make it a little bit more spongy, airy. So yes, you can. So you would separate your yolk, fold in the yolk first into the ricotta, whip your egg whites till, and then fold that in. The thing with that one is it's going to give you a different texture, not in a bad way. It is going to be a texture people are not familiar with. So a little bit more spongy. It's a good thing to try out. You know, I've done that once or twice. It's been a while, but maybe next time if I do this, I'll try to play that out. But I would say try that at home. You know, see how you think about it. Now let's check out our mozzarella roll. It smells fine. Actually, I don't like the taste. It's really dry. I don't like this for the lasagna. So I don't know if you can see it. It almost looks like string cheese, but the string cheese has flavor. This one doesn't. That's why it's always good to be checking the components on your food. So scratch the mozzarella. You can use a little bit of salt. Okay, so if you see the ricotta, it's starting to get soft. So now imagine when you cook this, it gets hotter. It's going to essentially melt and ooze out better. So that's the purpose of the egg. So to the earlier question of the fluffiness, mix in the yolks here. You would whip your egg whites and then you would fold it in. All right, so our sauce is going. It's looking all right. It's getting sweeter, which makes sense from the carrot. You notice how it's getting thicker. So right now what I'm allowing it to do is just to concentrate, and then I'm going to puree it, and I'll bring it back to the pot, add half of that pre-made sauce, bring that up to a simmer, see where it is, adjust the seasoning if I need to, and then I can start building my all right, so in the meantime, let's get our lasagna sheets parboiled. All right, so for the little one, I'm gonna have to break these, which is not ideal. If I cut them with a knife, they'll probably shatter everywhere like that. Oh, there you go. And I guess you can just throw them in there. Yep, that'll work. Say, what other question? How do you prevent your chicken from drying out? Depends on how you cook it to begin with. So having it like pre-cooked like this, when you throw it in the sauce, you're almost like rehydrating. So you're making it juicy again. So our sauce is looking good. Our pasta boiling out of control. They're getting bigger in size. You can start to see the hydration a little bit. In terms of cooking time, according to the box, it says it's about 5 minutes longer without boiling them. So I guess we'll see. I'm going to start it off at 50 minutes at 375, covered with foil. And then we'll see from there. All right, so our noodles are done. So notice how the water is all cloudy. It's a lot of the starch from the pasta. You can utilize that to bind your sauce a little bit when needed. Okay, so we're gonna layer the first thing with sauce. Now I gotta add more sauce to the smaller one. This is what's gonna hydrate this as much as possible. So this is where I'm gonna do the stringy cheese. Then here I'll add in the chicken, not to dry out. We need a lot of sauce, and here's where I'll add in the ricotta. Now I'm gonna add more of the noodles here. So it's been an hour since I put this in at 375, and it's now off the test to see where it's at. And the simple way to do that is just get a toothpick of some sort, a cake tester if you don't have one, and oh yeah, they're done. So this one feels a little softer, but I guess we'll see once it I think overall it's looking pretty solid. Tastes really good. This one doesn't feel as set. So far, I like the texture of the noodles on the par baked over this one. This one feels a little softer, almost like if it's overdone. In terms of taste and all of that, it's great. But if you guys get this, find this in the store, give it a shot, check it out, let me know. Of course, now let it cool, and when it's time to make dinner, just quick reheat and blast it with a little extra cheese, and we're good to go. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Okay, so this is the weight preparation. I have 3 carrots, 100 grams, using them for the antioxidants between those. I'm going to do 2 yellow onions, 400 grams. Ricotta, nothing fancy, 125 grams. Then half a quart of chicken stock, 400 grams. I do have some Oaxaca cheese, 200 grams. And what I like about Oaxaca cheese, it doesn't melt completely. We're going to use can of the Marzano diced tomatoes, 190 grams. We're going to be utilizing Carbone Italian tomato sauce, 680 grams. 3 grams of fresh thyme and another 3 grams of fresh oregano. Utilizing garlic powder. The garlic powder will go after I start sweating the onions. That is when it blooms the most. I'm also going to be utilizing some chicken breasts, which I already pre-steamed, stuff that I, steam and put in the freezer and use for different things. And this is 200 grams of pre-steamed chicken breast. And then for the main event, we're utilizing the Jovial gluten-free lasagna, meaning it's made with brown rice. So you guys saw my other one about the other noodles. So this time I'm going to try some lasagna and see how that does. Because at the end of the day, we just want good food. So a quick thing what we're doing is we're going to be baking these off into little baking pans. Okay. So the Jovial pasta, what's the big difference here? Talks about no boiling. And then that'll be it.